Hey guys, so I wanted to come on here because I was just watching most of what JD was reporting, and I saw a tweet on X, if you will. Jason Solomon had basically retweeted what WrestlePurist had reported, and you know, obviously WrestlePurist got the information that they did and everything from Dave Meltzer, and that's why Dave is right here on the screen. You can see in the screenshot. And the reason Dave Meltzer has come out and said, what he did about, well, the idea, was, the idea to make John Cena here go heel for the first time since late 2022 and for a majority of 2020, for since late, I should say, 2002, not 2022. That's a couple of years ago. But, make John Cena heel since, late 2002 into most of 2003. For him to come out and say that the decision to make John a heel was done on the day of Elimination Chamber, uh, everybody has called Dave out about that. Everybody has called out those that believe what Dave said about that being true. They've called him out. They've called them out as well. Because here's the thing. Rock himself has even said when he breaks kayfabe, breaks character, goes into being Dwayne and all that. And the same with Triple H, Paul Levesque. When they go into these press conferences or these interviews and all that, and they break down the behind-the-scenes terminology, if you will, the behind-the-scenes strategy as to how certain things came to be, they do it, one, because they know the fans are smart enough to understand nowadays that what they see is a show. That what they're seeing is exactly what others like Triple H, like Rock, and many have said before them, and even currently, that what you see in the ring take place is athleticism when it comes to the wrestling matches, but it's also a soap opera. It is a soap opera, it is a television crime drama, it is a movie, a mini-movie, whatever you want to call it, that takes place in front of your eyes, and its staging area, its set piece, is a 20 by 20 ring. And, they understand that fans are smart enough now to understand that. Do the young kids understand that? That might like John Cena, that might like Cody, might like Rock? No, not particularly. They may not like it, but then that's when the parents wise up and say, okay, let me show you something. And then they show them, what John Cena says in the tweet. They show him John Cena outside of the ring acting, as the John Cena they know. Same with The Rock, same with Cody. And that's when the parents let them in and saying, hey, it's, the wrestling you like, these guys, they're just like they are in the movies they star in. They're playing characters. What you saw happen in Elimination Chamber, that's an act. That's not real. And yet you have kids that don't believe that, and they will throw the figures down the stairs, as one kid was shown on Twitter, in doing, and I think Matt Cardona posted that as well, throwing down the figures and everything of John Cena because they were mad because they didn't understand or don't want to understand that this is all an act. This is all part of the retirement tour that John's going on. In other words, John is playing his hits. He's going back to being the heel he once was over 20 years ago, about 23 years ago, if you will, 23, 22 years ago. He's going back to being that. And then after that brief run as a heel, whether it's up till WrestleMania or maybe SummerSlam at the latest, he'll go back to being a babyface, redeem himself, and that's how he's going to go out in a blaze of glory. He's going to ride into the sunset as a babyface because he's come full circle. He started as a heel when he started his career. Well, he started as a babyface, vanilla bland babyface, but then went to being a heel at the encouragement of Stephanie McMahon, believe it or not. He went into that, became the Doctor of Thugonomics, then from there progressed into the Doctor of Thugonomics babyface run, and then into the babyface run that people felt was too vanilla, too cheesy, and all that for him for many years, which led to 16 world championships. So he went through that, and now he's getting an opportunity to do something that he wanted to do back in 2012 when he was feuding with The Rock. And that's turned heel because he felt that The Rock being the people's champion, it was more of a natural progression of, okay, he's the people's champ, they're going to cheer him no matter what. Why not me go the opposite direction, be the heel, so that, they have a reason for him to be cheered more so over me. They have a natural reason to boo me, and then maybe through this I can become that babyface they want me to be, or something like that. But the point I'm getting at is what John is doing right now is what he wanted to do back in 2012, but now it's going to be part of this full circle retirement tour progression that he's going to go through, where he'll end the year as, the John Cena the people cheered for a long time, because he's now back to being a babyface. Again, whether this heel run only goes to WrestleMania or not, or goes to or goes to SummerSlam, I should say, or not, only Rock and Triple H and John Cena and their teams know. That's it. Nobody else. Nobody else knows. I mean, I'm sure they're letting a lot of talent in onto what's going on. They're just telling them, hey, play it up like, you're mad, you're upset. Let people know you're not happy with John and what he did. Just play it up. And give credit. They did, Jackie Redmond on her Instagram did some interviews, in character with talent like Jey Uso, Dominic, and so on. And they've all gave their natural reactions. Even Karrion Kross gave a reaction and everything. And some of them are playing it off very well. Like Karrion is like, just like he did with just like he mentioned with AJ when he interrupted AJ Styles' interview on Raw on Monday night. Karrion's just playing it up like, hey, should we really be surprised? I mean, we all knew this was inside of him. He just didn't want to bring it out because of, obviously who was running things. But the thing is when you get down to it, this is just, a moment in time, as brief as it's going to be, for John Cena to revisit, this side of him that he hasn't been to in over 20 years. So for someone like Dave Meltzer here to come out and say, oh, this decision was made, on the day of Elimination Chamber, it was not made on the day of Elimination Chamber. I mean, again, Rock, when he breaks character, like he did during the Elimination Chamber press conference and even at the Rumble press conference, Rock is letting you know that basically this was all particularly strategically, particularly, easy for me to say, particularly and strategically planned to happen, for months. That all the signs were there, all the hints were there. Bad blood and everything, him coming out and doing what he did on January 6th, him saying what he did on Netflix to clarify what's going on, to get people off his back, to get people off the back of WWE, and then for him to do what he did on SmackDown in New Orleans when he gave New Orleans the news of, hey, you're getting WrestleMania 42 next year, and then doing what he did. I said, I'm just checking something here, guys. My computer's deciding it wants to load. It does little minor updates in the background. So I do apologize if you get any lag or any part of the video is kind of like falling behind and lip syncing, if you know what I mean. But anyway, though, like I was saying, Rock gave you all the clues. He said it's been going since October when he did this at the end of Bad Blood. Then what he did on January 6th in the Elimination Chamber. Well, before that, on, like I was saying, on the SmackDown, in New Orleans, where he told New Orleans, you're getting WrestleMania 42, and, oh, Cody, I want you to give me your soul. It was all part of a plan. It's been a plan since October. What did Triple H say in the WrestleMania 40 documentary that they did last year, that they released in the summer? I think, what was it, June or July, on YouTube? What did he say there? He said that the planning for WrestleMania goes as far back as the previous year, in the fall of 2023. He said things were already set up to go from late October, November. They had a clue as to where they were going, what the direction they were going, and then Rock came in, and that kind of shook things up. Mainly the main event, picture, it shook it up. And then when Rock realized, oh crap, fans want Cody, they want him to finish his story. They're not happy. And, Rock, I think, is very genuine when he says that, hey, I don't want people, even if it's a small percentage of the fan base or the universe, being upset over something that I felt originally was the best idea for WrestleMania. So he decided that the best thing to do was to pivot, in the direction that they did, and off to the races we went. But again, like I said, Triple H made it clear in that documentary that they're planning for WrestleMania. and all the steps they take to get to certain matches with the storylines goes all the way back till October or November, you know. And when you look at Rock and Cena and the situation in Elimination Chamber there, that was all strategically planned and laid out since October at Bad Blood. You know, how they would get to it, how they would make it happen, yeah, that probably was something they were processing, you know, even as they finalized the idea of, okay, John's going to finally do what he wanted to do back in 2012, and that's turn heel. You know, so obviously it did, you know, obviously the plan was there, the goal to get, you know, to have John Cena turn heel at a Chamber was set. The only question is, okay, how do we get there as we progress, towards that moment? And obviously they, you know, being Rock, Triple H, Cena, Cody, you know, the writing teams on both ends, you know, they all started to come up with, you know, different ideas of like, oh, how are we going to get there? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? I mean, I want you to look at John Cena's reaction when Jey Uso eliminated him. That plays in to the entire situation because John Cena had this look on his face like he couldn't believe it. Like, you know, he was this close, but then he gets pushed out, just shoved. And he, you know, and the way he lands is like, you know, all that moment right there was strategically planned. Like, you know, basically they're telling him, okay, Jey, you're going to go over, but the way you eliminate Cena is you don't just toss him out over and he falls, you know, on the ground, you know, like everybody else does. No, just push him out and he'll land on his feet and he'll have this look on his face. And we want the camera, and they probably tell the cameraman about this too, we want you to be in that perfect area when he gives that expressional shocked look of, what just happened? He's like, what just happened? You know, that to me is, you know, was all part of the plan. All the hints, all the clues were there, including the way John acted in the Royal Rumble press conference, saying it was best for business for him to win Elimination Chamber and become champion for the 17th time so he could shake the hand of the person that wins number 18. You know? I mean, because John even there says, look, I know when I win 17, in story, I'm not going to hold it for long, but I want to hold it. I want that record, basically, so that when the person that surpasses it goes on to win 18, I can say, hey, now you're the GOAT. You're the greatest, you know, and I could just, you know, finally move on. Like, this is his last year, and he's going to ride off into the sunset as a babyface. Let's be honest, that's going to happen. But he knows he's going to have to come back one day and say congratulations to the individual that wins the 18th world title in their career. That's what he's getting at. You know, and yeah, he did it in a way that should have gave off the vibes of, are they going to do what we think they're going to do? And they did. But when it comes to Meltzer coming out and saying that the decision was made on the day of Elimination Chamber and that it was originally meant to be Cody, Dave, look, I say this with all due respect to Dave, believe it or not. Dave is only doing what the title, and I've said this before, is only doing what the title of, of his newsletter, his newsletter, his group, his little company, his little business is named. It's called Wrestling Observer, right? Dave is doing that. That key word there in the title there of his business is observer, right? That's what Dave is doing. He is observing what's going on, and by observing it, he's taking his years of experience and trying to pretty much, think in his mind, and then share it with everybody that, oh, Cena's heel turn is a big deal, but based on my years of experience, I don't think it was meant to happen until, or I don't think the decision was made for it to happen till that day. And you know why he's observing it from that standpoint, even though he's wrong, and people like Rock and Triple H and everybody else has called him out about that, including those that believe him. They've called those people out as well. You know why he's observing it that way? Because he's basing it on what happened with Hulk Hogan. Remember, all these stories that Eric Bischoff and Hulk, whether you believe his side of things or not, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and so on. Remember all the similar stories they've been telling when it came to how Hogan became part of the NWO or helped become the founding leader of the NWO. Remember what they were saying. Remember what they've been saying, that basically it was almost on almost on said day. It was almost on said day that basically Rock made the decision, not Rock, but Hogan made the decision last minute to take the job, to say, okay, I'll do it, and off to the races we went for 83 weeks in a row for WCW beating WWE, because even though it was a last minute decision, according to what everybody is saying, for Hogan to make that choice, because even Hogan didn't want to do it, but then he figured, you know what, maybe this is something that could work. Maybe this could be something that can evolve the business, and it did. It was a last minute decision. That's why, in my opinion, from what I'm taking away from all this, that is why, in my opinion, Dave is saying and believing that the same basically, what's the word I'm saying? What's the word I'm looking for? The same goes. That's the word I'm looking for. The same goes for the John Cena turn. That he believes it was last minute as well. That it wasn't months in advance and all that. That it was last minute. That's what he believes, and he's basing it on what happened at Bash at the Beach in 1996. And he's basing it on his experience, decades in, about 40 years in, as an observer, as a journalist of the wrestling business. And seeing everything that he's seen throughout his career, being correct on certain things and not correct. He's just basing what happened at Elimination Chamber last Saturday on, what he's seen in the past. And he believes that decision is very similar, in being made as to Hogan's. Basically, it was made at the last minute, not made months in advance. But what Dave is failing to understand, and I'm sure he does realize this, but what he's failing to understand is we are now in a day and age to where everybody, and this is why Rock and Triple H, mostly Rock at times, will break character in the press conferences and basically tell people, how it is. Because he knows there are fans out there, fans that grew up with him, fans that grew up with Cena, grew up with the business, have, basically tuned in and listened to all these podcasts and everything, and newsletters and magazines and forums that have inside information of the business, when they shouldn't. Rock and Triple H and all of them are very knowledgeable that, hey, these fans are smart enough to understand that what we've been telling them for years, that this is a soap opera, this is a crime drama, this is a mini movie and all that, an episodic television show, key words there, where it's characters, fighting and wrestling, athleticism and all that, sport-wise in the ring, but that ring also serves as their canvas, their stage to perform in front of you and get the, and perform the story and perform their roles in the stories that they're in. So and get those roles and those stories across to you. And Dave, I think, is not realizing or is forgetting, in my opinion, that we're in a different time now to where people are in on things. They know things, that they're in on it. And he obviously, is forgetting that because he needs to listen to the press conferences. He needs to listen to what Rock says. He needs to listen to what Triple H says. He needs to listen to that and realize, okay, obviously they're in on what we're doing. Obviously they know that we're reporting stuff that we shouldn't be reporting, or we're giving our take on things that we feel, are happening and how we see it happening. He needs to realize, okay, they're onto us. I'm going to keep my mouth shut and I'm just going to let it play out. And you know what? As a fan, I'm just going to give my opinion from what, as to what's going on. And yeah, part of that is why Dave is saying things the way he's saying it. He's saying it as a fan. He's basically, as a fan saying, this is what I'm looking at. This is how I observe it go, happening and how I felt it went down. He's, and that's good. That's cool that he's doing it. But he's also, believe it or not, a very respected 40-plus year insider journalist of the business, and that he should know better. He should know better. I mean, even John Cena's father is playing along with it. Bill Apter, part of Sportskeeda, or a contributor to Sportskeeda, was talking to John Cena Sr., and John Cena Sr. went heel on Apter in the phone call. And I don't know if he hung up on him or not, but he went, heel on him. He's getting into it because he knows, and Apter knows, that basically this is all, this is all a story. And I'm sure Apter probably called up John Cena Sr. and told him, look, look, when I talk to you about the whole thing, I want you to go heel on me. Is that cool? Play along with it. And John Cena Sr. is like, hey, being a heel is what I was naturally good at during my managerial career. I'm cool with that. Let's do it. And, that's what's happening. That's what happened, I should say. So, Dave Meltzer needs to understand, and I'm sure he does, that this is a different time and place. And that, what he believes differs from what people are being told. And he needs to understand that Rock and Triple H and all of them understand that fans are now in on what's happening and they're just enjoying the ride. They're just enjoying the ride, and all they're doing is trying to, based on what they're seeing, is speculate and theorize, okay, we saw this happen, what could be the next step? And that's why you've seen people like JD from NY206, A&B Convos. That's why you're seeing people like Just Alex, formerly Deluxe Man, Solomonster, Good Mic Work, even myself coming out and theorizing and speculating of how long the heel turn is going to last. Whether or not John's going to walk out of WrestleMania 41 as champion. You got all this speculation theorizing going on right now as we get closer and closer to Mania. And all it's doing is making us and other fans that are doing the same thing more excited for what's to come, for what is going to, take place at that event in Las Vegas. And it doesn't just make us excited for this, for this storyline, but it also makes us excited for the other storylines that are going to take place within that same atmosphere on WrestleMania weekend with the other matches, like, the Bianca, Io, and potentially Rhea Ripley triple threat. CM Punk and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns in a match. Or is CM Punk going to interject himself, use his favor, from Paul Heyman to interject himself and make Cena Cody a triple threat with him involved? We don't know. It gets you more excited, more excited and pumped and just anxious for WrestleMania 41 to take place and everything. And that's why Rock and Triple H, they break character during the press conferences and they kind of basically tell you how, it all came to be and so on and so forth and everything, and just tell you, hey, stay tuned. We're not going to tell you everything else right now. You got to stay tuned and see what happens, and then we'll let you in on on how that came to be and what the next stage potentially, could be, but that'll be, up to you to guess and theorize. And that, again, that's why they do it. And Dave Meltzer, Dave here, needs to understand that, again, this is a different time and era, and things are, things are rapidly changing, and he's getting behind the times. He's getting behind the times in certain cases, and he shouldn't, because he should know better. He should understand better. He himself has evolved as a journalist, in the wrestling business. He has kept up to date with a lot of stuff in the past, but now it's getting to the point to where he's trying to keep up to date, obviously, but he's basically trying to keep any reputation, any positive reputation he has, or he's trying to keep that alive. He's trying to keep that, up here, if you will, by trying to, I guess try to prove what Rock is saying, what Triple H is saying, and all that to be wrong. Like, because he believes, honestly, that there's no way John would have gone heel, even if they proposed it to him months, back in October. There's no way. So that's why he's observing, if you will, key word there, observing that he believes, that it probably happened on said day of the Chamber, but it didn't. It didn't. It happened months prior, and I think that's what he's not understanding, that they were ahead months prior. Because again, you go back to what Triple H said in that documentary for WrestleMania 40 and how they got to where they were at the end of WrestleMania. Triple H, like I said earlier, basically to quote what he said, had WrestleMania set and ready to go, pretty much an idea of where it was going since November, late October. So the same can be applied here. The steps ahead, and I think Dave needs to understand that. So if I'm Dave Meltzer, and I say it with all due respect to the guy, because he wouldn't be continuously doing what he's doing if he didn't, have a knowledge and he didn't keep up to what was happening. If I'm Dave Meltzer and I'm Brian Alvarez, I would just, sit back and just be a fan. Just be like, look, if I say this is going to happen, or I feel that happened because of what because of what I've been observing, keyword there, I'm going to probably end up being wrong. So you know what? I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to be a fan, and I'm going to theorize. My observations now are going to be theories. In other words, I'm going to observe what I'm seeing, and I'm going to take my observations, and I'm going to give my theories, my speculations as to where I think it's heading and everything. And maybe that's what he did. Maybe he's theorizing and speculating that he feels that the decision was made on, said day of Elimination Chamber when it wasn't. Maybe that's what he's doing too. But he has to make it more clear. He has to make it more abundantly clear to everybody as well that, hey, this is what I'm speculating based on my observations. That I'm speculating, I'm theorizing that the decision may have been made, on said day of Chamber. I'm not saying it was. I'm just basing it off my observation as a speculation and a theory. He needs to make that more clear, if you will, in the near future. But honestly, Dave, again, if I'm you and I'm Alvarez and I'm your crew, I just sit back, and I'm like, and I'm not me, but I'm getting a little tongue-tied. But if I was you, Dave, and I was Alvarez and your crew, I would just sit back, give my opinions and give my speculations and theories based on my observations, as a fan, and then just wait and see how it plays out, and then give my observations as a fan, and speculate where I think it's going to lead next. That's what I should do. That's what I would do if I was you, Dave. And that's what I would do if I was you, Alvarez. Give me that. That's what I would do. So that's just my opinion. But again, Dave has to be careful of what he does, because he's going to make himself, he's going to make Alvarez, he's going to make their team, and he's going to make those that follow and believe every word he says look like fools if he doesn't just come out and clarify, hey, I'm speculating this, if he doesn't come out and clarify that, hey, the reason I believe, the decision was made on Elimination on the day of Chamber is, I'm taking what I've, observed and speculating. I'm speculating it happened that day. I'm theorizing it may have happened that day, but obviously I'm wrong. But it's just a speculation and a theory that, I believe could have some weight to it, but obviously may, obviously not have weight to it. But again, if I'm him, I just sit back and be a fan and be like, I'll let it play out. I'll give my, I'll play out. I'll observe what I see, and then I'll give my theory based on my observation, my speculation based on my observation as to where I think it's heading, and also when I think the certain decisions were made, for certain results, in matches and storyline progressions took place. I'm going to speculate and theorize. If I'm Dave, I would do that in the future, make it a little bit more clear. But yeah, obviously he keeps doing this. He's going to make himself and everybody else look like fools, because again, the only people that know, and I've talked about this before in a couple of videos already, the only people that know what's happening is Triple H, Rock, Cena, Cody, the writing teams, and anybody else in on it at WWE. Any information you might get about it, even Sean Ross Sapp, according to JD, is now in a position to where he and his team have to not only double check, but they gotta triple check, quadruple check, quadruple check, if you will. Chico Batado check. I don't even know if that's a word, but you get the idea. They got a multi-quadrillions, trillions, topillions check every source of information they get from within WWE to see whether or not what they're being told is true, or if there's any closeness to truthness to what they're being told. Sean Ross Sapp and his team, Mike Johnson, a PW Insider, and their team, Wade Keller and their team, Bill Apter, Sportskeeter, and the WrestleVotes and their team. They have to do that now because pretty much WWE, mostly Triple H and his crew, Rock and his crew, their teams combined, Cena and Cody, when they're in on it, certain superstars, when they're in on certain big angles, they know the information has gotten out in the past under Vince McMahon's run, and now they're basically determined to make sure that doesn't happen again, and they're going to throw you off as much as they can, and that's why Triple H has said on numerous occasions that none of them know, and when he says that, it's basically telling the dirt sheet, it's telling Fightful, it's telling Sean Ross Sapp, it's telling Meltzer, it's telling Mike Johnson of PW Insider, it's telling WrestleVotes, it's telling Bill Apter, that, it's telling them basically, you guys may say you have some inside info, but guess what? You don't. And all you're doing is making yourselves look like fools by saying, hey, this is what's happening, this is what I heard, but then all of a sudden the opposite happens. So again, just like JD said in his video, you got people like Sapp coming out and basically double checking, quadruple checking, quadrillions, trillions, billions, trillions, universal aliens, checking every source of information. Just to make sure they might get it correct and accurate, or they might have some closeness to it, or whether or not they're being made fools of, and they just got to be like regular fans and be like, hey, I want to report it, but I don't know if what I'm reporting is true, so as a fan, I'm just going to wait and see what happens, and then maybe see if I can get a slight hint of information as to where I think things are heading. So, again, if I'm Meltzer, I would basically just, I would just sit back as a fan, observe what I'm seeing, and then use my observations to give my theories and speculation as to how I think it came about, when it came about, and then my speculations and theories as to where I think it's heading. That's what I would do if I was Meltzer and Alvarez, and I wanted to save any semblance of my reputation, for good. If I wanted to save any positiveness of my reputation for good, that's what I would do. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this. Let me know what your thoughts are on Meltzer believing the decision to make Cena heel took place on said day of Chamber. What are your thoughts on it overall? Comment down below, like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel. Also, click on the links in the description to find my content elsewhere. You can find me in all your favorite audio and video podcast affiliates like iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, Audible from Amazon, Radio Public, Overcast. Anywhere there's a podcast, you'll find mine there as well. You can also find me at VENMO at BW Roses, Odyssey.com at BWRoses.5. You can also find me at Rumble.com at BW Roses. You can also find me at Patreon.com at BW Roses, where I have put up a new video under the $3 and $5 tier. There are 3 tiers, by the way, on the Patreon. $1 tier is a tip. It's like a tip jar. You can help support the channel with that if that's the most you can do. The $3 tier gets you not only that, but to get you the exclusive video content you can't get anywhere else until later. And the $5 tier gets you those first two tiers, in my opinion, from what I'm trying to say, as well as a bonus Q&A, and I will let you know when those Q&As take place in the future. But that's what the Patreon gets you. If you want to help support there, it'd be greatly appreciated. Also, you can support me at Venmo and Cash App. It'd be greatly appreciated there. Also, you could find me at my Teespring store as well. Get some merchandise there you can't get anywhere else. And guys, you can also find me at DeviantArt.com at BVW1979. You can find me at InkBunny.net at BWRoses. And you can follow me on Twitter, aka X.com at BWRoses, at Blue Sky at BWRoses, and at TikTok at BWRoses. But guys, give me your thoughts overall on this. What do you think about it? Do you think Dave needs to just sit back and be a fan and use his observations to speculate and theorize when he believes the decisions took place and everything, as well as speculate and theorize as to where he thinks things are going to be heading next in the future? Let me know what your thoughts are, guys, overall. Love to hear it. And until next time, I'll talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care.